A mechanic in Florida opens two engines side by side. One American, one Japanese person. Both 300 horsepower. Both have the same price. But what he finds inside changes everything. One engine will run for 2,000 hours without breaking down. The other won't make it past 600. One holds 70% of its value after 5 years. The other loses more than half. This isn't about preference or brand loyalty. This is about a $12 billion secret that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. Why do some engines run forever while others die right after warranty? What you're about to see isn't just a comparison. It's the story of two completely different philosophies of building machines, and why mechanics can literally identify these engines blindfolded. The difference is so shocking that dealers are switching sides. Owners are ripping perfectly good engines off their boats, and the entire marine industry is being forced to confront an uncomfortable truth about how we've been building motors for the last 50 years. In 1961, inside a converted dairy equipment factory in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Carl Kiekhaefer stood before his engineering team with a simple mandate: build the most powerful outboard motor the world had ever seen. This was Mercury Marine's founding philosophy: raw American horsepower that would dominate every lake, river, and coastline. By 1976, that philosophy produced the first mass-market V6 outboard engine. 6 cylinders, hanging off a transom. It was audacious. It was excessive. It was perfectly American. The approach worked. By 1985, Mercury engines powered 7 out of every 10 base boats sold in America. Tournament anglers swore by them. The distinctive roar of a Mercury two-stroke became the soundtrack of American fishing. These weren't just engines. They were statements. Displacement equals dominance. Torque equals triumph. While European manufacturers focused on efficiency and automotive companies dabbled in refinement, Mercury doubled down on what Americans wanted most: speed and power. Meanwhile, 4,000 miles across the Pacific, a different revolution was taking shape. In Hamamatsu, Japan, Yamaha's engineers weren't thinking about domination. They were counting revolutions. Having mastered motorcycle precision, they applied the same obsessive attention to marine engines. Every bearing was scrutinized, every tolerance measured to the thousandth. Where Americans added cylinders, the Japanese perfected pistons. Where Mercury increased displacement, Yamaha reduced weight. The numbers told the story. A 1982 Yamaha 90 horsepower weighed 40% less than its Mercury equivalent. It burned 30% less fuel. It required half the maintenance intervals. But in the American market of the 1980s, these advantages seemed almost irrelevant. Fuel was cheap. Mechanics were everywhere, and no red-blooded base fisherman wanted to explain why his boat had a foreign engine. Then Honda entered the market with something radical. 4-stroke technology adapted from their automotive division. They weren't building engines anymore. They were building marine timepieces, precision instruments that happened to push boats. The marketing was subtle but profound. While Mercury advertised hole shots and top speed, Honda whispered about reliability and longevity. But in 1990, something shifted. American dealers started noticing a pattern. The warranty claims were stacking up differently. The service bays were telling a story nobody wanted to hear. What started as isolated observations would soon become an industry-wide reckoning that would challenge everything Americans believed about power and performance on the water. Marine mechanics started tracking failure rates in the early 1990s, and the data made them uncomfortable. Tom Garrison, a 30-year veteran mechanic from Fort Myers, kept meticulous records in spiral notebooks that now read like prophecy. "I've rebuilt 300 Mercuries," he documented in 1995. "I've rebuilt 12 Yamahas." At first, mechanics like Garrison assumed it was coincidence. Maybe the Japanese engines were newer. Maybe their owners babied them. But as the years accumulated, so did the evidence. The real revelation came from corrosion studies. American manufacturers used standard aluminum alloys, the same grades found in automotive applications. Cost-effective, readily available, perfectly adequate for freshwater use. Japanese engineers specified marine-grade aluminum with higher copper content and specialized coatings. The difference was invisible to buyers, but painfully obvious after 500 hours in saltwater. American powerheads showed pitting and oxidation. Japanese blocks looked factory fresh. Forum posts from the early 2000s tell the story in real time. Boat US insurance data from 2015 to 2020 revealed a 3-to-1 failure ratio. American engines produced more power per liter. Mercury's marketing department never let anyone forget that. But they also failed 3 times faster. The engineering philosophy was fundamentally different. Americans built engines. Japanese built systems. The manufacturing processes revealed everything. Mercury used high-pressure die casting for major components. Fast, efficient, economical. Yamaha used forging and low-pressure casting. Slower, expensive, superior. American bearings were standard grade, designed to last the warranty period, plus a reasonable margin. Japanese engines used ceramic hybrid bearings borrowed from aerospace applications. The cost difference was 20% at manufacture. The longevity difference was 300% in service. Mercury's Verado line represented peak American engineering. Supercharged, computer-controlled, monumentally powerful. The 4-stroke revolution Mercury promised. But Yamaha's naturally aspirated F350 achieved similar performance through precision rather than pressure. No supercharger to fail, no intercooler to clog, just meticulously balanced rotating assemblies spinning at tolerances that American factories couldn't achieve without retooling entirely. Then in 2018, Mercury made a decision that would reshape the industry. Facing mounting warranty costs and dealer revolt, Brunswick Corporation, Mercury's parent company, initiated Project Phoenix, a complete reevaluation of their engineering priorities. Internal memos leaked to trade publications revealed the stark reality. They weren't just losing market share, they were losing the foundational trust that had built their empire. The American way of building outboards was under assault, and the attackers weren't foreign competitors. They were Mercury's own customers. By 2022, Mercury dealers were drowning in warranty claims that read like mechanical obituaries. The flagship V12 Verado, marketed as the pinnacle of American marine engineering, was experiencing catastrophic gearbox failures at just 200 hours. 600 horsepower monuments to ambition sitting dead in the water. The repair bills were staggering. $20,000 for a lower unit replacement on an engine that cost $50,000 new. Meanwhile, commercial fishing operations in Alaska were still running 1990s Yamaha 2-strokes with over 10,000 hours on original powerheads. The testimony from dealers became increasingly desperate. Jim Patterson, who ran 3 Mercury dealerships across the Gulf Coast, made the calculation that would end his 30-year relationship with the brand. "We stopped stocking Mercury parts," he admitted in a 2023 interview with Trade Only Today. "The liability was killing us. Every V12 that came through our door was a potential lawsuit." The numbers supported his decision. $47 million in warranty payouts in 2023 alone, according to Brunswick's own SEC filings. Professional fishing guides, whose livelihoods depended on reliability, started what industry insiders called the Great Conversion. Charter captains were pulling functioning Mercury engines off their transoms and replacing them with Yamaha or Suzuki. The math was brutal but simple. 3 days of lost charters due to breakdown covered the cost difference between brands. The resale market reflected this reality with mathematical precision. 5-year-old Yamaha F250s held 70% of their value. Equivalent Mercuries barely managed 45%. The symbolic moment came in spring 2024. Bass Pro Shops, the cathedral of American outdoor sports, reorganized their showroom floors. Japanese engines occupied the premium positions previously reserved for Mercury's highest margin products. The flagship store in Springfield, Missouri, the heart of bass fishing country, displayed more Yamaha engines than Mercury and Evinrude combined. Johnny Morris, Bass Pro's founder and Mercury's longtime advocate, remained diplomatically silent. Market share data from the National Marine Manufacturers Association told the complete story. American outboard manufacturers lost 35% market share between 2019 and 2024. But the real damage wasn't measured in units sold. It was measured in trust evaporated. Mercury's own customer satisfaction surveys, obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests from their government contracts, showed confidence in long-term reliability had dropped to historic lows. The question wasn't whether American engines could compete on performance. They still dominated every speed record, every acceleration test. The question was whether anyone would risk buying them. Experts say the divergence between American and Japanese outboard technology isn't about engineering capability. It's about fundamental priority. Dr. Sarah Chen, who studies manufacturing philosophy at MIT's Sloan School, frames it simply. American manufacturers optimize for quarterly earnings. Japanese manufacturers optimize for generational reputation. This isn't cultural romanticism. It's documented in corporate strategy. Mercury Marine's internal planning documents, revealed during a 2023 class action lawsuit, explicitly stated that parts and service revenue should constitute 40% of lifetime product value. Yamaha's corresponding documents, publicly available in their annual reports, target less than 15%. The metallurgy tells the deeper story. Japanese engines use aluminum alloys with silicon content reaching 12%, combined with copper, magnesium, and nickel in proportions that cost 40% more than standard grades. These aren't exotic materials, they're simply expensive ones. American manufacturers know these alloys exist. They choose not to use them. A Brunswick engineering director, speaking anonymously to Professional Mariner, admitted the calculation was deliberate. We could build a bulletproof engine, but our shareholders don't want bulletproof. They want profitable. Service intervals reveal the business model. Mercury recommends major service every 100 hours. Yamaha extends that to 300 hours. Honda pushes it to 500 hours on some models. The difference isn't just convenience, it's philosophy. American dealers depend on service revenue. Their technicians are trained to find problems, recommend preventive replacements, generate tickets. Japanese dealers sell reliability as the product itself. Their technicians are trained to prevent problems from occurring. The parts ecosystem completes the picture. Mercury maintains massive parts warehouses because they know they'll need them. Dealers stock thermostats, water pumps, gear sets, the components that routinely fail. Yamaha dealers stock oil filters and spark plugs. The failure-prone components don't exist in sufficient quantities because they don't fail in sufficient quantities. It's not that Americans can't build reliable engines. General Motors' Marine division proved that with their Crusader inboards before exiting the market. It's that the American business model depends on controlled failure rates. The ultimate evidence comes from an unexpected source. When the United States military specified outboards for special operations, they didn't choose Mercury, despite Buy American provisions. They chose Yamaha, then paid Mercury to distribute them with American badges. The Department of Defense's own assessment was unambiguous. When failure means mission compromise, only one philosophy was acceptable: the Japanese one. Now, Mercury is licensing Japanese technology while Yamaha adopts American marketing strategies. The 20,000 to 25 Mercury C-Pro models use Yamaha-derived corrosion-resistant alloys under a joint development agreement signed quietly in 2024. The Suzuki-Mercury partnership goes even deeper. Entire powerheads designed in Hamamatsu, assembled in Wisconsin, marketed as American innovation meeting global excellence. It's not surrender, it's evolution. The Japanese manufacturers are finally building V8 outboards, the American way, but with Japanese precision. Yamaha's XTO 425, their first V8, took 11 years to develop. They could have released it in 5, but they waited until the reliability testing matched their inline engines. Every bearing, every seal, every gasket subjected to the kind of torture testing American manufacturers reserve for racing applications. The result is a 5,000-hour engine that happens to produce 425 horsepower, rather than a 425 horsepower engine they hope lasts. The new generation sees something different in that Florida repair shop. Young technicians trained on both philosophies are creating hybrid approaches. They're retrofitting American engines with Japanese components, ceramic bearings in Mercury powerheads, Yamaha fuel systems on Evinrude E-Techs. The aftermarket is achieving what manufacturers resisted, a fusion of American ambition and Japanese discipline. Chinese manufacturers are entering the market with a third philosophy entirely, copying both approaches, discarding both traditions, creating engines that challenge every assumption about price, quality, and longevity. Parsoon, Hidea, and Seaflow aren't just cheap alternatives anymore. They're forcing both American and Japanese manufacturers to question whether their historic positions remain defensible. Electric outboards loom as the ultimate disruptor. When mechanical precision becomes electronic precision, when software replaces hardware, when batteries determine range instead of fuel tanks, the entire argument shifts. Pure Watercraft, Vision Marine, and Flux Marine aren't asking whether to prioritize power or reliability. They're asking whether internal combustion has any future at all on the water. The mechanic closes both engines and steps back. Two philosophies, two approaches, two different definitions of excellence. But perhaps the future isn't about choosing sides. American boldness created the engines that opened up waters worldwide. Japanese precision created the engines that kept them accessible. As the industry faces its next transformation, the shocking difference isn't what separates these philosophies. It's what happens when they finally stop fighting and start learning. Will the next revolution come from Wisconsin, Hamamatsu, or somewhere nobody has imagined yet? The answer might determine whether our grandchildren know the sound of engines on water at all.